So I'm going to quickly go over exactly what a keto diet is and if I believe a keto diet is right for you. If you're already well aware of what a keto diet is, or putting your body into a state of ketosis, and I'll put the time frame down below on screen so that you can skip straight to the meal prep. So putting your body into a state of ketosis simply means putting your body into a fat burning state. So our bodies will have two energy sources that it will use as energy. So it has carbohydrates and fats. And what a keto diet does, minimises the amount of carbohydrates we have and puts a lot of fat into our diet. So our body will then work out, okay, I don't have a lot of carbohydrates, so it will start using fats as an energy source, and then our body will be in a fat burning state so that we're going to have a more constant supply of energy. Rather than carbohydrates, you're going to have high peaks and high troughs of kind of feeling good and then feeling flat, like if you've had a big meal and then you feel tired. That's one of the downfalls of carbohydrates. However, carbohydrates is very useful for anyone that does a lot of explosive movements, anaerobic movements such as powerlifting or sprinting. So if this is something that you do in your daily routine, then I wouldn't recommend this diet for you. I would recommend this diet for someone who's looking to lose body fat and maybe doesn't do an awful lot of anaerobic exercises in their day-to-day workouts. So if you're someone that does a lot of walking and that's your main source of exercise and you have an office job, someone that isn't expending a lot of energy, then this diet might be something for you to consider. I say diet with a little bit of a cringe, to be honest, because whenever I'm recommending someone to eat a certain way or eat certain foods, I want to recommend someone to do something that they're going to be able to stick to. So in this video, I'm going to make 3 healthy and very tasty meals that you're going to be able to enjoy, meaning that you're going to be more likely to stick to this diet. The pros and cons of a keto diet. Now, I'm someone that's actually done a keto diet for 2 months. I wasn't doing it really for fat loss, I was just doing it more as an experiment and curiosity. The pros I found was I didn't get tired after eating, so I could have a big meal, and because I'm not having a lot of carbohydrates, I didn't feel tired after I had a big meal. You can have a lot of fats in your food. Now, I would recommend having good fats like olive oil, avocado oil, even some cheese you can have, nuts, avocados. All these foods are high in fats, and these foods are going to be foods that you can put into a keto diet, and these are foods that I actually really enjoy eating. Now, your only thing you're missing out on is carbohydrates, so you're missing out on bread, potatoes, rice, pasta, whatever your carbohydrates that you usually have, you're not going to be able to have those. And you're also not going to be able to have any fruit. You're only allowed to consume a maximum of 50 grams on average per person per day on a keto diet. So this might come as a bit of a shock to some people, but you're going to have to get all, if not most, of your nutrients from vegetables, things that are low in sugar. This also means that you're not going to be able to drink alcohol such as wine, beer, but you will be able to have alcohols like spirits such as gin, whiskey, rum, tequila, vodka. They're the type of drinks that you are allowed, but you're not allowed any sugary drinks, no fruit, and no carbohydrates like starchy carbohydrates or potatoes or anything like that. So every food that I'm putting into this video has basically got no carbohydrates in, bar one salad that I put a few pomegranate seeds into, but I'm only putting that in just for a little bit of flavour. But this will have less than 50 grams of carbs overall in our daily intake. That's only a quick introduction into what a keto diet is. If you want to look more into it, then search it and do a bit of research. I might put a link down below of some of the best sites that I find explain what exactly a keto diet is, the pros and cons of it. I hope that brief description has explained to you a little bit more of what a keto diet is. Now, these are 3 meals that I've come up with myself to be on a keto diet. I found one recipe from Gordon Ramsay and tweaked it a little bit just to make it a little bit healthier, and I come up with one recipe myself, and the other recipe is like kind of a very common keto diet recipe, but I've made a few tweaks here and there, and I think these are going to be 3 recipes that you're gonna genuinely enjoy having. So hopefully this is going to be a diet with these recipes that you're going to enjoy and be able to stick to. So for meal number 1, I've got a twist on a British classic of bangers and mash. So let's start by putting some greaseproof paper down on a baking tray and coating the bottom in some avocado oil or olive oil. I'm using avocado oil here just because it's got a higher smoking point, so that I find it cooks a lot better when you're cooking at relatively high temperatures. So I've got 2 different types of sausages here. I've got some pork and caramelised red onion sausages and some Aberdeen Angus beef sausages as well. So let's evenly coat them in the avocado oil, and then we can place them into the oven on around 200 degrees Celsius for around 25 to 30 minutes, depending on how well calibrated your oven is. And let's start by dicing some courgettes. This is some organic courgette I've got from my very generous landlord that's given me some from the vegetable patch, so I was chuffed about this. So we can start by just chopping that, and then we can dice that as well. I like to dice it in different shapes and sizes just so throughout the dish it gives a little bit of different consistencies. So in a hot pan we're going to put some olive oil down, and we want to swirl the olive oil around, where we're going to press some garlic into the olive oil, and we want to leave that for around 30 seconds so that it starts to get a little bit brown and we can start to really smell the garlic. And once we can start to smell the garlic, in we go with the courgettes, where we're going to leave them sit for a little bit so they can naturally caramelise. Now lower the heat a little bit so we can put in some chopped tomatoes, so we can put the base down where our beans are going to go into. We want some tomato puree in there as well, just to give it a nice rich flavour, and we're going to season with some salt, hot sauce, garlic, black pepper, chipotle chili flakes, basil, put in the beans. I've had some mixed beans here. It's about a mix of 4 beans. So we'll let that simmer till it gets nice and thick and all the flavours can come out naturally. Now let's make some mash. So I'm going to make our mash from an avocado base. I'm going to start mashing it with a fork just so I can keep it nice and chunky. I don't want it too creamy, but that's a personal preference. If you want it creamy, then you can change it yourself. So let's put in some red onion. I'm going to dice a red onion so it's relatively small and it'll give it that nice harsh acidic flavour. Let's put in some lime zest and some lime juice. A dash of olive oil, and we're going to season with some salt and some chili flakes as well, black pepper, and then we're going to finely chop some coriander or cilantro, however you want to say it, and we're going to put it into the bowl where we're going to give it a nice mix. And once you're happy with how the sausages look and how the beans are, that's when we can start to plate it up. And there we are, that's meal number 1. That is keto bangers and mash. This is genuinely a favourite one of mine. So let's start with meal number 2. We're going to start by putting again some avocado oil down on the bottom of some tin foil because we're going to be grilling some chicken. Make sure the chicken is coated in the avocado oil evenly. And then once we're happy with that, we're going to start to beat the chicken down. Doing this is just going to help the chicken cook nice and evenly. If you have thin bits and thicker bits, the thicker bit's going to need longer to cook, meaning that you're going to have some bits of a chicken that's going to be overcooked and some undercooked. I did mention this in a previous video as well, but just in case you're watching this as a newbie. And we're going to start by chopping up some ginger, some garlic, and we're going to also squeeze some lemon juice over the top, as you've already seen. And we're going to season that with salt, black pepper, chipotle chili flakes, cayenne pepper, and some paprika, mixed herbs, and then we're going to rub in that chicken. Letting the chicken marinate in all these herbs and spices is only going to add to the flavour. If you've got the time to do that, then great. I definitely recommend you doing so. So for the base of the salad, I'm going to be using some rocket. I quite like the peppery flavour of rocket, and I'm going to be adding some beetroot as well. Now beetroot does have some sugar in it, so I wouldn't recommend putting too much beetroot in. I'm only going to be putting half of a beetroot in here, and this is going to be serving for 3 meals. So that's only like 1/3 of a beetroot per meal. Now on average per person, you only want around 50 grams of carbohydrates per day if you want to keep your body in a state of ketosis, meaning in a fat burning state. So any more than 50 grams roughly per person, that's when you're going to start burning carbohydrates. Let's put in some diced peppers, some chopped tomatoes, and some feta cheese as well. This feta cheese will give it a nice salty flavour, and some more fats that are going to give us some energy, as well with some walnuts. If you're really clever, you would crunch your walnuts in your hand before you put it into a bowl, but I'm clearly not that clever. And I'm going to put a little bit of pomegranate seeds as well. It gives it a nice little kick, but again, you don't want too much of these, because too much of these will put you out of ketosis. Now for the sauce. This is my favourite homemade sauce. I'm going to be making some Greek style tzatziki, and we start by some natural Greek yogurt into a bowl and put some thinly chopped garlic, squeeze some lemon and add some lemon zest, and then we're going to thinly dice some cucumber as well. Again, shout out to my landlord for giving me some fresh cucumber from the vegetable patch. And then we mix that fully in. Once we're happy with the chicken, let's get the chicken out, let it rest for a little bit, and you want to cut against the grain. Again, I've mentioned this in a previous video, but for anyone who's just new to the channel, you want to cut against the grain so that the chicken holds in some of the juices. And there we are, that's meal number 2. Now for meal number 3, we're going to have some chili beef wraps. I've seen Gordon Ramsay make this, and I must admit I do really enjoy this one. So let's start by seasoning some beef, and you want to let the beef get to room temperature before we put it into a hot pan. And I want you to take these mince further than you normally take them. Let the beef sit on the bottom of a hot pan so we can get some crust on the beef, giving it a nice flavour. If you let the beef cook on a lesser temperature, the beef is going to turn out to be quite rubbery. So by putting it in a hot pan and letting it sit for a little bit, we get a crust on the bottom of the beef, ultimately adding more flavour. So once we've drained the beef, we can then start to chop some chilies up. I'm using 1 red and 1 green chilli here, just to give a different flavour. And I'm going to thinly chop some asparagus tips as well. And we're going to start by putting some sesame oil into a hot pan again. You don't need to wash the pan from the beef, just give it a nice wipe. And then we put the asparagus in with some chilli, ginger and garlic. And then we put the beef back into the pan. Finally, we want to add some spring onions or green onions. So now we've got some baby gem lettuce, and this is going to be used for the wraps. And I'm going to make a little sauce here that I'm going to make from olive oil, some fish sauce, and some lime juice and sesame seeds. And there we have it for meal number 3. I love this meal. So how you use it, you use a lettuce as a wrap, and we're going to spoon in some of the chili beef, and we can drizzle some of that homemade sauce over the top of it. Recipes that are going to be great for a keto meal prep. 3 really delicious recipes. I genuinely enjoy all of these recipes that I've put on screen here for you guys today. Let me know in the comment section below what your favourite keto recipe is, and if you think there's any that I can add to my next video. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to drop it a like, subscribe if you're new around here, and I'll see you guys next time.